Good morning, everybody. How are you all today? I hope you're well. Oh my goodness, there has gone another month so quickly. How is it the end of August already? How does this keep happening? I have no idea. No idea where the time goes. There we go. I don't know. Now, today is going to be a little bit different to my normal wrap up of the month. I will explain as we go. So for starters, I'm sitting in a different chair today because looking over that in the room, it's a kind of organised tip. Do you know what? Let me show you what I mean. I've got a little bit of bunting on the go. See what I mean? Oh my goodness, that's a lot of work to get through in the next couple of days. So this on the ironing board, this is all bunting that's, I don't know if you can see the pins, it's all pinned, that's all waiting to be sewn. I think there's either 11 or 12 strands there. That will take about 4 or 5 hours of sewing. And then on my chair, well, I've got all of this lot down here. So you can see these 3 lots, they've already been sewn, turned the right way out, pressed, and these 3 are waiting to have the same treatment before I then pin them into the webbing. Now, for any of you, probably only in the UK, but the colours may be a little bit familiar to you in terms of the Macmillan nurses, and towards the end of the month towards the end of September, sorry, it's the Macmillan Coffee Morning, big charity fundraiser that goes on all over the country, raising money for the fantastic Macmillan nurses. So I'm trying to get this ready, hopefully in the next day or two, so that for every purchase of this bunting, I'm going to be making a donation of £1 to Macmillan nurses. So yay, need to get on with that. And then on the back of the chair, the skull and crossbones, that's from my nephew. I've just got a load of black and white prints here. Bit of a departure for me, but I had some leftover fabric from some dressmaking and some other bits and bobs. I'm quite liking these black and whites. So yes, that's all this fabric has been washed and pressed, and it's just sitting there ready for me to cut it so that I can get it to that stage before I then get it to that stage before I then get it to this stage. Yes. That's the next couple of days work for me. Oy vey. Right, let's get back to thinking about month 28. Here we are again. So actually on the subject of getting all the bunting done, you can you see in there? It's my little glass cabinet that's full of fabric. That's all my next. I do love playing with the fabric. For me, it's just a really lovely kind of expression. It's I was mentioning this to someone, who was I saying it to the other day, but it feels like when I'm mucking around with the fabrics, I feel like I'm painting. So I spend hours, probably a bit too long, with all the fabrics, looking at them side by side, trying to get the colour combinations or the colour tones just right. But I love it. For me, it is the fabric, it's my paint box. Oh, brilliant. Anyway, so today I was going to talk about something which I'm going to actually now talk about probably at the end of next month, because it's a subject which isn't going to go away. That sounds bad, doesn't it? I don't mean it in a bad way, I just mean it's something that's always relevant to me. The reason I'm not going to talk about that today is because something marvellous happened yesterday and today. I got a phone call from one of my lovely friends, Kai, who has a plot on the same site as me, to say, I found your camera. Here it is. Now, I don't know if it's going to show. Look, it does show, doesn't it? Look, it's filthy dirty. Fortunately, I'd closed the lens cover because I'd stopped filming and I'd put it in my pocket. But then on the inside, let me see if this will pick up. Can you see? Oh, look, all that grass that's in there. Okay, so It's dead as a dodo, as you might expect. So it's 2 months ago that I lost it, right back at the beginning of June. We've mostly been dry, but then at the beginning of August, I've mentioned it a few times, we've had that monsoon-like rain. So the battery's obviously flat. I don't know how wet it got. When Kai found it, it was in the next plot to hers. I looked there and looked. Actually, we all had that day. We'd all searched and searched and searched. I'm going to talk about community in a minute, and that's the whole theme for today. But we'd searched and searched and searched. But where she found it, she was actually bending down to pick up a windfall apple, and it caught her eye. Now, she said it was kind of on top of some really quite long grass. So it was sort of on a cushion of grass, so it wasn't in contact with the soil. So hopefully that will have spared it getting too wet. But I think what I'll do is I'll do one of those tricks of either rice or cat litter, as someone mentioned on Facebook this morning, to see if I can get it dry. Anyway, so I got that call from Kai. I was like, yay, right, when can I come? When are you in? So I've literally, just a few minutes ago, got back from Kai's house. Obviously, I went to pick it up, but obviously we sat and had a cup of tea. And I spent some time looking at her latest prints that she's developed, which were just stunning, absolutely remarkably stunning. Some sort of landscape images of Dungeness, which some of you may know. Some of you may know it because of Derek Jarman's place down there. Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing. I'm a bit all over the place and giddy because I'm so happy about the camera. So I've got a bit of an itchy nose. Excuse me one moment. That's better. Yeah, so I've raced home from Kai's and I've taken out the memory card because I just thought, please, 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 let it work. Popped it into the computer and it has downloaded the bit of footage I took that day, which was one of our community work party days. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to let you see that footage. I think there's about 10 minutes or so because, well, I was going to say I lost the camera quite early in the day. It wasn't that early. I think I'd probably been in the garden for 2 or 3 hours, but we were mostly working. I don't film a huge amount on the community days because obviously the idea of the community day is that I'm there to work, not to be faffing around with my camera. So it's just a few minutes. Have a little look at this. It's just in its entirety. There's not particularly a narrative to it because there's no end. And then I'll catch up with you here again after you've watched it. Good morning, beautiful souls. How are you all today? I hope you're well. I've got to say, I am so tired today, but I'm hoping that some time in the garden is going to give me some energy. And there's a lovely, lovely buzz on the site today because it's our monthly work party day. And as is tradition for a work party, the sun's come out. Yay! It's always so hot when we're working. But it's great today. We've got a few different things going on. All the usual work, but we're also having a seedling swap. So I've just done a swap with Catherine, who's the last sort of opposite the end of my plot, who gave me the poached egg seeds. So she has given me a rouge vif des tempes. That's a winter squash, and in exchange I've given her a spare loofah and a spare achocha. So actually we're not supposed to have started the seedling swap, but we'd already mentioned that with each other a few days ago. So yes, we're having a seedling swap today, and then hopefully for some folk, even if they haven't got something to swap, there'll be something for them to take away because there's tons of spares at the moment. We've also just had delivery. Finally, we've made a contact. Actually, it was Sheena, who you see in my videos sometimes, made a contact with a wood tree surgeon for wood chips. So we've got a beautiful big pile of wood chips to excuse me, to distribute. We're still struggling to get horse poo, never mind. So that's that's arrived. this morning. And what else is going on? And one of our pot holders is today going to be doing a free tool sharpening service. So everyone's bringing their tools to him for a bit of sharpening. I'm actually going to watch when he's doing it with one of the tools, watch really closely and see if I can learn, or get him to even maybe teach me a bit, because that would be really good for my self-sufficiency. So yeah, tons going on today. It's a beautiful day already. There's a really gorgeous fresh breeze, so hopefully that will help to keep us cool as we work. So I think without further ado, I'd better get out there and start doing some of the work, and then hopefully later on catch up with you and show you some of what's been going on today. Yeah, come on, let's go and get a lawnmower out. Oh, and then that will be some clippings that I can use either for my celery or the flint corn. I think the flint corn first, because it's a much more exposed bed. Yes, anyway, I won't get grass clippings unless I do some mowing, so come on. Let's rev up the mowers. Wowzers, such a bright day already. And my lovely neighbour Joyce over here, who's just giving Svetlana a hand on her plot. She has scored the first barrow load of these gorgeous wood chips. But look, they're so chipped. They're almost like compost already. So what's your plan with them, Joyce?
To create some pods. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just trying to pull up all the top layer.
Oh yeah, so
weeds, yeah.
So you've already edged the beds, great. Yeah. So get these weeds out and then get a nice
thick layer.
Brilliant. Well, no, it's great, isn't it? Now, if we're going to have this supply of this free whenever we want it, that'd be great. People can just keep adding. Right, well, I'm going to leave you to your work. Well done, Mrs.
Thank you.
I'm going to find my way out via the beginnings. Look, the beginnings of a chip path. Yay! And I think, oh, I can hear the sound of tools already, so I'm going to just walk you down, because I think Catherine's the first to appear at the seed sharing table with some of her lovely, not seed sharing, seedling sharing. So we'll just go and have a look to see what Catherine's brought along. And Sheena's got a barrow load too. What a brilliant contact to make. Oh, and I've just seen, just calming down around here is the beginnings of some seedlings to share. Fab. So this is all that Catherine's brought. My goodness, she's brought loads. How generous. Catherine, you've been so generous, lovely. These are all squashes? Oh, that one always makes me laugh, the burpless. It's like, does it actually mean that eating it you should burp less? And just to note, our Catherine's here watering a new communal tree. This is our, oh, noisy. This is our new mulberry tree. Yay! Right, I need to get a mower and get on. Oh, what a lovely pile. Yeah, I thought I'd come and check out this pile of wood chips. Look at that in the top though. That didn't get chipped. Oh my goodness. Oh, what can I use it for? That would make a nice little seat on the plot. Oh, and there's another one. So I think what we're planning to do for future is, where we've got these old compost bins that we are dismantling and taking out of use. The problem was a lot of people were chucking some like just rubbish and nasty weeds in, and they were just too big to manage and to turn. So you're seeing this end, we've started emptying and distributing. Look, it's massive. It's like oh, you know what's that thing called where a hermit lives? Victorian folly could move in, it's that big. So yeah, I think the next plan is we get these emptied and then we can use them as receptacles for as and when we get deliveries of beautiful wood chips and not quite so chipped. Right, I think my next job is there's a communal path that needs quite a bit of clearing, and so I'm going to get on with that, and then after it's cleared we can borrow over some of this to lay down. Yay! Happy days. Whoa, breezy day. I won't show you too much because I haven't spoken to people about permission, but we're having a good tidy up in the orchard today as well, and all the trees have got masses of fruit on this year, which is great because last year it was a really poor harvest, but it looks like we're going to have a fantastic apple day. We'll get out our apple press and enjoy making ourselves a load of beautiful juice. It's an absolute hive of activity here today. Wonderful. Just the purring of lawnmowers everywhere. So, one of the reasons I'm doing this now rather than later, so I can get this barrow empty and go and get a load of wood chips to fix this this path between neighbours. Fab. Fab, fab, fab. Enough to do all the flake corn by the looks of it. Oh, that's great. Good thick layer on. Obviously, I hope we don't have another drought, but if we do, I'm hoping a bit more prepared. Right, let's go and get some more wood chips and fix that path. God, I love a freebie. Oh yeah. Right, let's get this distributed. If I can get around this corner. Ah! It's a bit tight. Oh, it's really tight. There we go. You may remember this is the path I made last February with my lovely friend Jackie when she was over visiting from Canada. It's amazing how quickly these bark chips actually rot down. So yeah, so the fence marks the end of my plot. This is the beginning of the next plot. So all the plots are supposed to have this wee path between them for access. And oh, hang on a second. Sorry about that, I was just being called away a second. Yeah, so we have these paths between each and every part, and obviously it's all part of the maintenance that we should be regularly doing, but I've been meaning to at least weed back here for ages, but it's always one of those, not a priority. The garden's the priority. So yeah, I've taken out an absolute load of bindweed today, trimmed back the brambles. So now, once again, we have a nice bouncy, a nice bouncy path to walk along. And if we're going to be having access to these wood chips regularly, oh, that would be great. So yeah, give it a little bit of a bounce and a firm. Oh, it's like deja vu, except last time I was doing this, it was only about, I think it was about 8 weeks post-surgery. So I was a little bit more careful. Right, I think, let me get my breath back. Yeah, that's it. Tea. I was thinking, what's the next job? But I just heard someone shouting tea from the tea hut, so I think it's time for tea and cakes. And we're back in the room. Oh, it's so lovely looking back at those little bits of footage made that day. It just serves as that reminder about how lucky I am to be part of such a lovely community. And now I know this is something I talk about quite often, how lovely the community is there, how important it is. But to me, it really, really is important. I just think, what is life if we're not part of a community? Now, for instance, the day the camera went missing, and I put that note on Facebook because I was just devastated, and also I was thinking, well, how am I going to film now? There's going to be no videos. I'm going to have to let you all know. A few folk wondered if the camera had actually been stolen. Now, I think in my heart of hearts, I never for a moment thought that it had been stolen. I trust the people I garden with so much. Everybody is lovely. Everybody's there for the same reason. And over time, I've always made a point of getting to know people, getting to know them as individuals. So it's not just a sort of morning as they walk down the path, but to actually have proper conversations with people, to find out about them, to find out about their families, what they do outside of the plot, their work, and what have you. Sorry, I'm really fidgety today, aren't I? I think it's because I'm giddy, because I was so happy to get that call from Kai. So I think there was never really a moment in my mind where I thought it had been stolen, and, well, I was right, it wasn't. The people I garden with are lovely. But this whole thing about taking time to get to know people, to invest in your community, it's so rewarding for me because I get to have conversations with lovely people. But it's also rewarding in the fact that, you know, if I'd never made friends with Kai all those years ago, if I hadn't made the effort and spent time with her, and likewise she making the effort with me, then perhaps she would have found the camera and just thought, so what, who's that? I don't know, chuck it in the rubbish, take it home, sell it, what have you. But because we've both invested in each other and bonded, I get my camera back. Yay! Now, I'm not saying that you should only put in order to get out. The getting out is a lovely kind of sort of side effect, if you like, of putting in. In the same way that sort of within I always call it a village. So I live in London, of course I do, but London is just comprised of dozens and dozens and dozens of villages. And if you live in an area for a while, of course, I've lived in parts of London which have a much, much more transient nature to them. But in an area like this is a kind of area where people move to quite often in their late 20s, early 30s. They're looking for slightly more property than, say, in central London because they want to start a family, for example. So a lot of folk move here and then they stay here. So again, in an area like this, it's worth spending time getting to know your neighbours because you're going to be there for a long time with each other. And this is another myth I want to dispel. It came up in one of the comments after one of my videos that people in London don't speak to each other. Total myth, absolute myth. You know, if you get on the bus in central London you might not chat to your neighbour because, frankly, your neighbour might be a tourist who's only here for a day and doesn't even speak English. But within our sort of villages themselves, of course, we all talk to each other. I know what this came. It came out of the back of that day when I was in the post office with that woman breathing behind me and the bloke whistling in front of me. The chances are when I'm in the post office, I am gas bagging away to someone in the queue. The person I see always in the post office, for some reason, I'm always bumping into Gary in the post office. And our lovely Gary can talk the hind leg off a donkey. So I might be at the back of a really, really long queue. Before I know it, I'm getting served because I've been chatting away with Gary. Great. So invest in your community. And there's so many ways you can do it, whether it's getting involved at your allotment, get involved with the extracurricular stuff, if you like. So if you have community work days, turn up. It may be that you're fairly new on site and you're feeling a bit shy. That's okay. I think it's perfectly normal. And you may feel like, oh, that's a clique of people and that's a clique of people. Well, you don't know unless you just put yourself in there, do you? When I first came to my site, I thought there were a couple of cliques, and actually there were 2 cliques that didn't get on. And over time, people leave the site, you know, people move up north, move down, whatever it is. But because I've kept going, kept on determinedly making friends, you realise after a while, actually there aren't cliques. There are just folk who see each other a bit more frequently, so they probably chat to those people more than the other people. Just dive in, get involved on one of your work days. And if you don't already have that kind of thing, suggest it to your committee. Suggest that once a month, especially say through the spring and summer months, you all get together to do a bit of tidying up, mowing, whatever it is. Suggest having a barbecue, for example, in the summer. You could suggest having a little miniature village show, if you like. And it doesn't have to be serious. It doesn't have to be all competitive, because I don't think competition is necessarily a good thing in allotments. But you could have, you could have a day, especially at this time of year, just before the kids are all going back to school, so you can do it as a family, to say, let's have a show in which it's, you know, the silliest shaped vegetables, the rudest shaped vegetables, maybe have that separate from where the kids can see. The vegetable that looks most like Elvis or an other celebrity, that sort of thing. There's so much you can do. And, you know, I think it's obvious from the way I talk about my site and the lovely interactions I have with so many of my fellow plot holders that it really is one of the most wonderful things about gardening within a communal setting is all those lovely friendships that develop. People from all walks of life, people so different to me. There are some people who perhaps outside of the garden I would never get to interact with. Oh, it's all such a joy, isn't it? Oh, it makes me giddy. We've got another work party coming up soon, and I can't wait to get stuck in again. Yay for community. And you know, the other thing, I'm so giddy. The other thing that's really important about community is, for someone like me, I live on my own. Now I am perfectly happy and okay with that. I don't think I could live with anyone ever again. I don't think I could share my space. I like it just as it is. Thank you very much. Now, living alone, that doesn't mean I'm sort of sat indoors up here on my own all the time, all sad and lonely. Far from it. I really enjoy being on my own and in my own company. But it's really important to still have other people to interact with. It's really important to have good friendships. It's really important to have other people to think about, other people to care for. Otherwise, I'd just become some weird hermit, selfish, I was going to say cat lady. Too late. I've become a cat lady already. But you see, there's another thing about community. I know I'm banging on one now. I'll shut up in a minute. But, you know, so often on our site, and I really love it, and I think it's a real testament to how beautifully people work together and put the effort in together. If someone on my site gets ill and they're going to be away for a while, their plot never goes to rack and ruin because everyone pitches in. Everyone helps everyone else. It's amazing. You know, whether it's watering while someone's on holiday or, like I say, if someone's poorly, if they're poorly and it's just short term, people help by watering, by harvesting and taking the harvest to that person's home. If it's someone who's going to be away for a while because it's a more serious illness, again, folk pitch in to help tend that plot, and maybe even it's as simple as clearing it, getting it covered so that it's sort of fallow but not getting weedy in that person's absence. So yeah, you know, if we all look out for each other, if we all look after each other, then there's always someone to look out for us, to look out and love and care for us. They say love makes the world go round. Love and community makes the world go round. And I thank my lucky stars every single day for the community that I'm part of. So, on that giddy note, I'm so happy today, I'm so happy. It's great to get my camera back. Thank you, Kai, for being so eagle-eyed. I really hope you'll have enjoyed the footage. Actually, I had a quick look myself, and it's weird to look at the garden at the beginning of June. I was looking at my bean poles and my teepees with nothing, absolutely nothing growing on them. Just shows, doesn't it, in the space of 2 months, the garden has gone woof, and it's already getting ready to go in the autumn. Okay, I'm going to wrap up now. I hope you all feel treasured and loved within your communities. If you've just arrived in a new community, whether that be a new town if you've moved, or a new allotment site that you've gone to, you know what? Put your shyness aside for 1 minute, jump in and get to know folk, and before you know it, you'll be embraced and loved and cared for in that gorgeous community. So for now, it's cheerio from me. Until I see you again, please stay well and go out today and make a new friend. Cheerio, everyone.